My name is Harper, and I'm 32 years old. I own a flower business in Austin that I built from scratch without anyone's help. I have parents and a younger sister, Madison, who's 18 now and in her senior year of high school. There's a 14-year gap between us, which tells you everything you need to know about how our childhoods were different. My parents had me when they were young. We weren't rich, but we were fine. Normal. Then when I was 14, they had Madison, and suddenly she became the center of the universe. My parents treated her like a miracle baby, this precious gift they'd been waiting for. I went from being their daughter to being the help. When I turned 15, my parents sat me down at the kitchen table and told me I needed to get a job. I got a job at a grocery store, bagging groceries and stocking shelves after school. I gave most of my paycheck to my parents for bills and diapers and formula. When I brought home my first paycheck, Mom didn't say thank you or tell me she was proud. She just said, "This is what family does. This is your responsibility." Meanwhile, Madison grew up never lifting a finger. At 15, she didn't have a job. At 16, she got a BMW convertible for her birthday. My parents bought it for her, somehow scraped the money together for it. When I was 16, I mowed lawns all summer to save up for a used MacBook I needed for school. It took me 4 months of sweating in the Texas heat, coming home with grass stains and blisters. Madison got a brand new car handed to her like it was nothing. But things got worse 4 years ago when Dad had a stroke. He was 52, and it came out of nowhere. One day he was fine. The next day he was in the hospital, unable to move his right side. He recovered mostly, but he couldn't go back to his job full-time. His income basically disappeared. That's when I stepped up. I'd just opened my flower business a year before, and it was starting to do okay. Not great, but okay. My parents were drowning in bills, so I offered to help. I opened a joint account at Wells Fargo. I was the primary owner, and I added my parents as joint users. I set it up so that large external transfers needed my approval, but they could use it for day-to-day expenses. I started putting money in every month for groceries, utilities, Dad's medical bills, all of it. For the first year, I watched the account like a hawk. Every expense made sense. $150 for groceries, $200 for electricity, $80 for Dad's checkups. Normal stuff. I felt good about helping. I felt like I was doing the right thing. But then my business really took off. I landed a contract with a hotel chain for their lobby arrangements, then another with a restaurant group, then corporate offices. I was working 70-hour weeks, managing employees, meeting with clients. I stopped checking the joint account so carefully. I trusted my parents. That was my mistake. I started noticing things about a year ago. Madison posted pictures on Instagram wearing expensive clothes, Gucci, Prada designer stuff. She was going to trendy brunch spots that cost $50 a plate. She took trips to Miami, to Los Angeles, to New York, all while supposedly being a broke high school student. When I asked Mom about it, she'd say, "Oh, her friends treat her," or "She saves up her allowance." I didn't push it, I should have. Mom also started calling more often with requests for emergency money. The roof needed repairs. The car broke down. Medical expenses came up. She never gave me details, just said they needed help and I'd transfer more money. I was busy. I trusted them. I didn't ask questions. Then came the morning that changed everything. I was in the middle of an important business meeting. I'd been trying to land this contract for months with a big wedding and event planning company. If I got it, it would mean steady business worth at least $200,000 a year. I was sitting across from their CEO and operations manager, going through my portfolio, when my phone started buzzing. Madison. I declined the call and kept talking. She called again. I declined again and apologized to the clients. Then she texted me. I glanced at my phone and almost choked. "I need you to send me $5,000 for prom." I stared at the message. That had to be a typo. I texted back quickly, "Do you mean $500? She needs this, Harper. Just approve the transfer." "No, I'm not approving it." I hung up and got dressed. I needed help, and I knew exactly who to call. Jacob was a friend from college who'd become a lawyer. We'd stayed in touch over the years, and I trusted him completely. I called him on my drive to his office. "I need your help looking at some bank records. I think my family's been stealing from me. Come to my office, bring everything." 2 hours later, we were sitting in his conference room with 4 years of transaction history from the joint account spread across the table. Jacob had his laptop open, running through the charges one by one. "Okay," he said, typing. "Let's see what we've got." We started going through it. At first, everything looked normal. Grocery stores, utility companies, medical offices. They'd declared bankruptcy. Madison was working at Target for minimum wage. They'd collapsed the moment I stopped supporting them, which proved that it was never really a family. It was just dependents disguised as family. They needed my money, not me. My business kept growing. I landed another major contract with a hotel downtown. Then a country club wanted me to handle all their events. My revenue doubled. I moved into a bigger shop with more space for inventory and a proper office. I started dating someone, a guy named Marcus who owned a coffee shop 2 blocks from my flower shop. We'd met when he came in looking for flowers for his sister's birthday. He asked me out, and I said yes. It was nice, easy. He didn't know about my family drama, and I didn't bring it up. I made friends with other small business owners in the area. We'd meet for drinks on Friday nights, talk about marketing and suppliers and the challenges of running a company. They became my community, my people. 8 months after I'd cut off my family, I was at home on a Saturday morning drinking coffee on my porch. When a car pulled into my driveway, Mom and Madison got out. I watched them walk up my driveway, both of them looking nervous. I didn't open the door, I just waited for them to knock. Mom knocked softly. I opened the door, but didn't invite them in. "Harper," Mom said, "can we talk? What do you want?" "I want to apologize. We were wrong. We took advantage of your help and we shouldn't have done that." I waited. There was more coming. "Your father is sick again. Another stroke, smaller this one, but the medical bills are piling up. And we lost the house. We're in a bad situation, Harper. Really bad." She reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. "This is a list of our debts. Credit cards, medical bills, back rent. We need help one last time, just to get back on our feet." Madison stepped forward. Her expression looked rehearsed. "I'm sorry too, Harper. I didn't understand how hard you worked. I get it now." I looked at both of them. Mom, with her desperate eyes and her antelope of debts. Madison, who'd clearly been coached on what to say. "No," I said. "The answer is no. I'm not giving you any money." Madison's fake apologetic expression disappeared. Her face twisted with anger. "You're such a greedy bastard. You have money and we have nothing. You abandoned your own family. What kind of person does that?" "The kind of person who got tired of being used," I said calmly. "You never learned the value of work because everything was handed to you. Well, now you're learning, and you don't like it. That's not my problem." I closed the door and locked it. They stood on my porch for another minute, then left. I slept peacefully that night knowing I hadn't stolen from anyone. I'd just stopped letting them steal from me. After Mom and Madison left that day, I didn't hear from them again. No more surprise visits. No more calls from relatives trying to guilt me into helping. Just silence. And you know what? The silence was beautiful. I kept running my business. It kept growing. A year after cutting off my family, my revenue had tripled from what it was before. I hired 5 more employees. I opened a second location across town. I was featured in a local business magazine as one of Austin's rising entrepreneurs under 35. The article asked me about my success, and I told them the truth. Not about my family, but about the principle behind it. I learned that you can't build something strong if you're constantly being drained, I said. You have to protect your resources and invest them wisely. That applies to money, time, and energy. The reporter loved that quote. They put it in bold text next to my photo. Marcus and I were still together. It had been over a year now, and things were getting serious. He'd met my friends. I'd met his family. His parents were kind people who owned a restaurant in San Antonio. They treated me like I mattered, like my opinions and dreams were important. It was strange at first, being around a functional family, but I got used to it. Marcus knew about my family's situation by then. I told him everything one night over wine at his apartment. He'd listened without judgment, then said something that stuck with me. "You didn't abandon them. They abandoned you a long time ago. You just finally noticed." He was right. They'd abandoned me when I was 15, and they made me get a job while Madison got everything handed to her. They'd abandoned me every time they chose her over me. They'd abandoned me when they lied about emergencies to steal my money. I'd just been the last one to leave. I thought about my sister sometimes. Madison would be 19 now, maybe 20. Still working at Target, probably. Maybe she'd gone to community college. Maybe she'd learned something about work and responsibility. Maybe she hadn't. Either way, it wasn't my problem anymore. I thought about my parents too. Dad with his health issues, Mom with her regrets. Part of me felt bad for them. They were old, struggling, probably scared about their future.